The pandemic, and especially lockdown, brought images to mind of going round in circles. Spiralling numbers out of control led to making a willow wind spiral. Materials of willow are abundant in Gortnagullion. Summer brings lushness of stem, leaf and movement. Autumn brings colour of leaves, and after they fall, the stem colours become apparent. Winter comes, we cut the willow rods, letting them dry before we create. Spring brings new willow shoots and leaves, and life begins again. Observing changes in nature keeps us in tune with the seasons and the passing of time. Willow fishes on the front cover of a craft book in a charity shop captured me, suspended in an underwater scene, accompanied by flying fish, sea kelp and wind spirals. Nature feeds our imaginations and nourishes our souls.
Dark Skies is a large oil painting created during the first lockdown, and it reflects the mood of that time. There's a nice contrast between the dark and the light, representing both the joys and struggles that I endure personally within my own creative practice, and also the hardships of dealing with my vulnerable family members at that time, a very challenging time. The pandemic gave me time to pause, time to reflect and reevaluate aspects of my life, including my art practice. It's surreal to imagine that we're living through this period in history, and who knows what the future brings. But we must hold strong in the belief that there's light beyond the horizon.
These are modern frescoes and are created from plaster and paint incorporating sgraffito, a ceramic technique where the design is etched into the plaster over layers of expressional brushstrokes. This is an image of Brian O'Lynn, a character from an old Irish rhyme that travelled across the world and back again. Myself and Fionnuala Maxwell brought this character alive through music and illustration during the pandemic. It was wonderful to have this time to realise our interests in our local heritage and have this project to focus on throughout the lockdowns. It helped us through.
The top of the bench stool is made from ash with bog oak used as a filler. The legs are hawthorn and the cross pieces are ash. It's then finished with Danish oil. It was created to fit under a table, but has taken on another significance now, as it holds a tablet, which we use to make video chats with our kids, who are in the opposite ends of the country. It's made this time really important and precious to us. The top of the table is made from evergreen oak, also known as tiger wood, Quercus ilex. It has bog oak sides pegged in with bog oak and beech downs. Legs and cross pieces are made of ash and bog oak wedges. U is at the centre and is finished with Danish oil. The table is created for my pleasure alone. The top is both rough and smooth. The legs are at strange angles. One leg is always standing out of place. Individuality is important in the world, and is important to me.
I began making these ceramic paintings as I had no access to my workshop during lockdown. I had very little experience in surface decoration, but it was the only form of expression open to me. I started simply, but was soon influenced by my daily walks, surrounded by the beauty of the Leitrim countryside, particularly its varieties of trees. I took the time to use existing materials in new ways and developed different slips in a multiple of colours. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't have had the time to do this preparation work. Having no access to my kiln was frustrating, as I couldn't see my ideas all the way through. However, the pandemic allowed me the time to realise the ideas from the back of my mind and reconnect with the natural environment. It also made me face the fact that I needed to work, and I struggled without it.
COVID brought home how disconnected we have become from the hand-making process of our traditional skills. The isolation gave me time to explore my creative process. Because of lockdown, I wasn't able to physically buy materials, so I used reclaimed family fabrics and threads which hold many hidden memories and have a voice of their own. My inspiration comes from nature and evolves as I feel, paint, layer and manipulate these fibres, allowing the piece to take on its own story. I draw with my needle and thread, which is quite intensive work. This helped me deal with the overloading information we were receiving from the media. I cherished the time the pandemic gave me to reconnect with my creativity on a very personal way, with no interruptions from the outside world.
I've become interested in the earliest interactions that people have had with the natural world and how the changes they made enabled the growth of more complex civilizations. The development of agriculture was probably the single most important change, as having a reliable food source allowed people to remain in one place instead of being nomadic. It started in this part of the world in an area known as the Fertile Crescent, which centred on two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, in what is now Iraq, Iran and Syria. This pendant shows the two rivers flowing eastwards towards the Persian Gulf. In the area bordered by them, there are golden ears of grain, which is one of the earliest crops grown there.